Hey guys, this is Dr. Jason Shumard with Integrated Wellness Center of San Diego, and also author of How to Reverse Your Diabetes. And today I want to talk about something that's so important because, I talk to, hundreds of patients on a monthly basis in regards to their diabetes. And the one thing I can tell you is that almost every single one of them has been told the wrong information. They've been told that the cause of their diabetes is in most cases not truly the cause of their diabetes. For most individuals, they're being told it's because of their overweight, right? Now, I see patients who are medium sized. I see patients who are, overweight. I see patients who are, really skinny that are still all diabetic. Now, if the weight was truly the cause of their diabetes, then how is a skinny diabetic going to have diabetes, right? We also see obesity, people who are obese that don't have diabetes as well. So we know that that's truly not going to be someone's cause of their diabetes. In most cases, things that I teach, it's actually a symptom of the diabetes because there's many medications as well as problems or mechanisms that'll be broken inside the body that'll be contributing to the person gaining weight. The other thing they're being told is that they need to change the way they eat. Now, we obviously know that food can be a contributing factor. It can cause problems. There are certain foods that'll raise blood sugars more than other foods that we know it's going to be like a gasoline on the fire. But again, in most cases, the food is not going to be the underlying cause. It's going to be a contributing factor. And we know that because if you have diabetes right now, have you ever tried to completely change your diet, right? I mean, just get off all the major stuff, the carbs, the sugars, everything. And yes, you're able to bring your blood sugars down, but many people are still diabetic. They haven't fixed the problem that's really going on under the surface and the things that we talk about and how we educate our patients and really how we analyze them very comprehensively to find out what is causing their diabetes. So we know food can be a contributing factor, but in many cases is not the cause. The other thing that we see individuals being told to do or potentially cause is their lack of exercise. They need to go exercise. They need to start working out, doing more cardiovascular, going for walks, doing more strength training. Of course, we know that exercise is very beneficial. It's helpful for many individuals, including individuals who are not diabetic. So it's not really specific to diabetes. But I have seen, patients really digging down deep, trying to exercise as hard as they can, going multiple times a day, thinking if they just lost the weight, they continue the exercise, that they are burning off the excessive sugars, it's going to be the fix to their problems. And unfortunately, it's not. There are much more deeper problems that are going on under the surface that are contributing to their overall situation. So some of the things that I want to talk about that are not traditionally spoken to you in the traditional medical model are three what I call uncommon causes you may have diabetes. Uncommon meaning that you're not being talked to about these things, so you may not be aware of it. You may not even be able to find it on Dr. Google or other areas. You may be able to find some misinformation. You will find some misinformation in my book, but this is because this is the type of stuff that we talk about every single day. So let's go over the first one. The first one is going to be the organs that control diabetes. So there are multiple organs that are involved in your blood sugar regulation. So I guess I'm doing diabetes would be blood sugar. So let's change the blood sugar. Blood sugar. So in regards, that can leave you at risk for diabetes. So what are some of those organs? We know that the pancreas is obviously an organ that's involved in blood sugar regulation. It releases the insulin inside your body to help regulate your blood sugar, allow the sugar to go into your cells so it can be used as energy and so you can function and live. We know another one is your liver. Liver is another important organ of the body. You look at the liver and you look at the pancreas, they're very comparable in how important they are for the regulation of blood sugar and reducing the risk of diabetes. We also know another area, if you're not familiar with, called the adrenal gland. The adrenal gland is very important, sits on top of your kidneys. One of its major jobs is to regulate blood sugar in your body. Now, I always ask this question in my presentations, But if the adrenal gland's major jobs, or one of its major jobs, is to regulate blood sugar, how many of you that are dealing with diabetes are being checked? Your adrenal glands being checked on a regular basis? My guess is not very many of you. We also know that the thyroid is another area that's important for blood sugar regulation, and many patients that I speak to, that I meet with, have a thyroid condition. It could be in underlying cause or implementing their inability to regulate blood sugar. We know that the brain is very important for blood sugar regulation, and we also know the brain is vulnerable to blood sugars called glycotoxicity, which can increase the risk of things like type 3 diabetes, right? So we could have a type 3 situation going on here, type 3 diabetes, which is referred to as Alzheimer's disease. We know that if you're a diabetic, you are at increased risk of developing Alzheimer's because of this blood sugar glycotoxicity situation. We also know that GI is heavily involved, so your gastrointestinal system. We see infection patterns, leaky gut problems, dysbiosis, food sensitivities, a slew of problems that could be going on in the guts. We also know the gut is where food absorption is, where your body takes in the food, breaks it down, and uses the nutrients it needs and gets rid of the waste that it doesn't need. We also know the immune system. The immune system is heavily involved in blood sugar regulation as well. So there's many things that are involved in this. We could probably go over some more as well, but these are the most common ones that we see in our office. So one or more of these problems could be not functioning optimally. I'm not talking about in a disease state, but not functioning optimally right now, which could be contributing to your inability to regulate your blood sugar. So it has to be addressed. It has to be analyzed very comprehensively. Another one that is common that we see is autoimmune diseases. So what is an autoimmune disease? So there's multiple different types of autoimmune diseases. So the common ones we'll see are things like rheumatoid arthritis. We may see lupus. We may see something called Hashimoto's or Graves. You know, we may see type 1 diabetes. We may see, celiac disease. I mean, there's so many different types of autoimmune diseases out there. I mean, it can be any of them. Why is that important? Because when you have one autoimmune disease, you are at risk of developing future autoimmune diseases. So what can happen is what that means is if the immune system is already attacking one or more of your organs in your body, it can start attacking other tissues. Well, what if it starts attacking the areas where your insulin attaches to, called an insulin receptor, that's allowing the sugar to go into the cells of the body? Then now you have an issue with the immune system attacking the tissue. So it's not really a problem with your diet or a problem with your weight or a problem with your lack of exercise. It's because the immune system is sick. It's attacking and destroying a specific tissue in your body that is contributing to your overall problem with regards to blood sugar regulation, eventually leading to a diabetic scenario there. So we have to look at things much more comprehensively, and autoimmune diseases could be a component to this overall problem. Now, the last one, which is very interesting and not very well known, is, well, I guess we'll talk about toxicity. Now, toxicities can be multiple things, right? So maybe some of you have heard of things like environmental factors, right? So there could be environmental problems, but we also can see things like biotoxin. My writing's bad, sorry guys. Biotoxin, heavy metal toxicity, and there's a slew of other ones as well. So why are these important? Because if you have these types of issues going on, it's going to create inflammation, it's going to create stress. And we know certain things like biotoxins, for example. Bio meaning living, toxin means it's an organism that gets into your body that starts to create toxins inside the system. We know these toxins can start to block your inability to have properly functioning insulin response, meaning your insulin attaches to the receptors, then the receptor allows the blood sugar to go into the cell so it can be used as energy and ATP. So it starts to get really complex and complicated when you really start looking at all these different problems that could be going on. I mean, I could probably do a video on every single one of these and spend a lot of time on that. But what I want, the main focus of today is I wanted you to understand that for most individuals that are dealing with diabetes, it's in most cases not because of their diet. It's not because of their weight, and it's not because of the lack of exercise. It's not even because of your high blood sugars, right? We know high blood sugars is a symptom of the disease. It's not the disease itself. What we have to understand is what is happening under the surface. What is going on under the surface that is contributing to this person getting sicker and creating an inability to regulate your blood sugar. So that could be a problem with one or more of the organs that is involved in blood sugar regulation. That could be a problem with something else going on completely different from your diabetes altogether, meaning it could be like an autoimmune disease where the immune system starts attacking specific tissues of the body that are involved in the ability to regulate blood sugar. It could be even attacking one of these organs we talked about up here, which could be a contributing factor. And of course, we want to talk about toxicity as well, and how toxicity can be an impact in the body from an immune response, an inflammatory response, and on top of that, some of these toxicities can actually block the receptors and reduce the ability for what it's supposed to be doing, which is helping you regulate your blood sugars on a regular basis. So when you really start to break down the different mechanisms and problems that could be going on under the surface, it becomes much more in depth than just how can you eat differently, what is the right type of diet, what's the right type of exercises, how many calories should I be eating, how much weight do I need to lose, what medication is going to be the best approach, because it's never going to fix the problem. The problem is a much deeper scenario, and when you start asking these types of questions, you can start to unravel what's really going on and help a person really get back their life, get to the point where they may no longer need their medications. We see that happen in our office every single day. We see patients reducing and eliminating medications. We see them losing weight with little to no exercise. Of course, I mentioned weight is not a significant impact, but we do know weight can contribute to other problems, cardiovascular problems, stress on the organs, joint problems, those sort of things. So we want to make sure that we have a good weight, and our patients are losing weight as their body's ready to lose the weight. And of course, the last thing, which is the really most important thing, in my opinion, is they're reducing the risks of future complications, reducing the risk of an early death, reducing the risk of cardiovascular disease, stroke, kidney problems, neuropathies that can lead to amputations, and a whole slew of other things, inclusive, we talked about here, type 3 diabetes, which is a very significant problem. We are seeing a massive influx of Alzheimer's disease. We have to stop this.